So let's kick off. So good morning to everybody. I think you probably all know who I am, but for those of you that don't, I'm Sally Swan and I am Partnerships Manager at MuchLoved. And with me this morning, I have my colleague Jackie, who I think I've pinned, so you should be able to see both of us throughout the whole session. Jackie's been with us for a couple of years now and previously worked as the manager for the Remembrance Funds at Stroke. So she knows exactly what it's like to sit in your shoes and has got a real wealth of experience of working with our product, obviously just because she's been working with us, but also previously at Stroke, and also has lots of experience in stewardship and promotion. So you probably noticed that this time we've set the session up as a webinar rather than a meeting. So it's a shame that we can't see all your lovely faces, but it just meant that we could make it more accessible to more people and have a lot more participants attending if we needed to. So as you've all worked out, please use the chat box to ask any questions. Just make sure that you sync it to panelists and attendees if you've got any questions, and then everybody can see the questions that you're asking. Okay, so this morning's session is going to be all about what your supporters can do with a tribute page. And the reason why that we wanted to sort of talk you through that was just to give you a real flavour of what the benefits are that they can offer your supporters and how you can use some of those features and functionality to better your tribute fund scheme. So I'm going to hand over to Jackie, and she's going to sort of take you through the features and functions on a tribute page. So over to Northampton.
Okay, so I hope everybody can see this lovely tribute that we've created. We've added lots of functionality to it, and I'm signing in as if I'm a tribute guardian. Just to give you an idea of all the functionality that can be added to the tribute, what they can do, how they can interact. After this, Sally will go through in a little bit more detail. So I'm just going to run through the functionality. Like we said, any questions, pop in the chat box, that would be great. So first thing to draw your attention to is the home, we're on the home page, is the image area where the tribute guardian can upload their image. Now, what a lot of them don't realise is that they can actually have it as a slideshow. Now, this is great if they've got lots of pictures in the gallery, because it means that it actually tells the story of that person in a lovely way, so anybody visiting the tribute, you know, can see the pictures and they get engaged quite quickly. So it's a great little thing to know about and tell your supporters if they've loaded lots of pictures, that this is a little tip to make the front page sort of be more interactive and engaging. You'll also notice that the live feed down the right hand side, this can be hidden, but I would say most tribute guardians want to leave this as a live feed, simply because they want to see the interaction, which family, what friends, who's made a donation or added to the tribute. But it can be hidden if ever you need it to be. You're probably used to seeing funeral information on the tributes that are set up by funeral directors, but if you have got the funeral collection widget, you can also, your tribute guardians will also be able to load the details here as well. So if they do add it, that's sort of how it will look on a page. If we carry on going down, so for all family and friends visiting the page, the contribute is the bit where they'll be interacting the most. So we just click through. You can see here we've got a whole host of ideas and engagement sort of tools, if you like, where they can interact with the tribute. We've still kept make a donation obviously at the top with a nice big button, because, you know, the key to these is that you do want the family and friends donating to your charities. Now, add an event. Now, I know that the last year your events have been absolutely cancelled, but there is light at the end of the tunnel, and I'm sure that this tab will be used going forward. I'm just going to click you through because I just want to point out this is a made-up charity that I'm demonstrating today. But normally when your supporter would go and set up their event, they will see a box here that will be for Just Giving. So say I've just created a 10K run on Just Giving, and then I want to add that event also to my tribute. I could add the Just Giving link to the event page, and it will pull through all those donations from the Just Giving page, which is great because then the family and friends can see all their fundraising achievements in the one place for that event. So it's a good little tip to remember. So if I just show you a couple of events that I've already set up just as a test. So this is how it would display. So I personalised a little fundraising message here, and I'll show you later in tribute settings how the tribute guardian would do that. So there's lots of nice little personal touches they can do to their tribute as well. Light a candle. So I would guess a lot of you are familiar that when a new tribute is set up, you start your stewardship journey by adding a candle to the tribute as a way of condolences and your first sort of connection, communication with the family. But obviously your supporters and people making donations to the tribute can also use the candle section. We do have a couple of birthday ones, they're just not shown on this demo site. So there's a lot of choice that they can do depending on the time of year and what they're, you know, how they're feeling. So if we go back to add a gift. Now, we launched this as we went into lockdown last March, and it is proving now to be phenomenal. It's really taking off and supporters are finding this, and it makes a change from lighting a candle. So if we just click here, you'll see that we have a few themes. Mother's Day, we tend to do a little for season. So Mother's Day, Father's Day, Christmas, it might be Easter, Valentine's Day. We'll create special images. Now, this is only loaded with 3, but on the real platform, if I was a tribute guardian setting up my tribute, there's lots of, you know, it's much more loaded with a lot more options to leave on their mum's tribute. This you could also have a bespoke one for your charity here as well, which they could leave a virtual gift with. Maybe if you have a mascot, if you're at a hospice, or a pin badge, you could do that. Sally will tell you a little bit more about that at the end. Just to give you an idea of the other gifts, we have a whole host of flowers that supporters can use. Cards, and not just birthday cards. You'll see we've got lots of anniversary, thinking of you. So lots and lots of choice for the supporters. So I think you get the gist of what's in the galleries and everything that you can find. If we click onto stories, this is a great little place as well. We often hear that tribute guardians and their families find tributes a place of comfort, but they can also really optimize and leave stories about the person they've loved. A lot of people will use this space also to populate with the eulogy. It's quite nice from your point of view to keep an eye on these stories as well, because it might give you bits of information about the tribute guardian. Also, it might be that, you know, they've got such a lovely story to share that you might approach them to say, can we share your story when we're talking about tribute funds to the rest of our you know, supporters. So it's a good little place to have. So if you can also load videos and pictures linked to that story. So here, grandchildren, a grandchildren one, little tap dancer one, or you can have nothing, just a bit of blurb. So it can be as personal as they'd like to make it. The journal, this is another space where they could leave memories or messages. The beauty of the journal is it can be made private. So the tribute guardian might want to use this as their space to put their thoughts, but they might not want, you know, everybody reading it. So they can just have a little bit and put their own pictures, their own memories. That's a space that they can do there. If you carry on adding pictures, video, music, they're all self-explanatory. If we just click through, everything is really simple, easy, how you can do it. So it's very logical platform. It's logical for the supporters, and each step they're sort of guided by how they can load and interact with their tribute. Now, tribute settings is where you can amend everything to do with the tribute. So just click through here. You can see here now we've got a little drop down menu of different types where they could go that's happened on their tribute. Click on content, for example. You can see the list of everything that we might want to do. So just go to the home page. You can see here they have options to edit things. This is where I was saying earlier, if they wanted to do the slideshow on their homepage, this is where they would configure it. Just click and again follow all the instructions. There's lots of different things they can do, and you know, and a lot of tribute guardians we find really go into it and build up and embrace lots of ideas, but some probably don't even realize how much they can do. If you look on design, let's choose design, they do have the option as well to change it. So you might sometimes think, oh, a tribute's been set up and you had a branded theme and they've changed the design. They might have made it more bespoke to their loved one, and that's where they would have done it. It's probably not one of the things you want to highlight if you want to keep your branding on your tributes, but that's how they would have done it. So if we just go back to the tribute, excellent. So you can see that looks, you know, the gifts display here on the home page. All the pictures are in the gallery, but obviously we've set them to a slideshow even. You can see the candles that have been added. So this is the one that the charity will automatically add when they can see that they've had an alert for a fund. The videos will be showing, and you can see their life stories all falling off the home page. So I hope that gives you a little overview of what you can do with all the functionality. We'll go back to Sally, who I'm sure is going to give you a little bit more detail about that, but that's just to give you an idea of what a tribute loaded with everything looks like.
Thanks, Jackie. I just noticed there's a couple of questions come in, so I'm going to have a bash at answering those. So Rachel's asked if we can explain the difference between in the functionality between a funeral collection and a tribute fund widget. So if you've got those widgets and they're available to our Optimum partners, the tribute, or we call it the tribute create widget, allows your supporter to set up a tribute page, and it won't include any funeral information. The funeral collection widget will ask them their funeral information. So it will include all of the funeral details on the front of the tribute, as we're seeing on this example here. So that's the difference. In effect, they're the same tribute page, but one just has funeral information on and one doesn't. And the funeral information can be archived. So once the funeral's taken place and it's no longer relevant to the family, you can just archive that information. So it just removes it from the front of the tribute and then stores it somewhere else. So it can be accessed again if they want to, but it can just be taken away so that it's not available to view from the front page. Lucy's asked how Just Giving donations are recorded in the reports. They're all recorded as offline donations, so there's no chance of double accounting. So they're just displayed with a little purple G next to them. So it's very clear what's come in through Just Giving and what's come in directly through MuchLoved. Alison's asked if we have a leaflet on how to use tribute funds that could be given to a tribute guardian. The answer is I don't think we do, but it's definitely something that we're looking at, and we'd like to. Once the dedication page requests have calmed down a little bit and our designer has a little bit of time, we're going to look at creating a template leaflet that our charity partners can sort of top or tail, or you can just sort of take the bits and pieces out of that you wish to use. Terry's asked if you give donations can be asked against gifts. So no, we don't ask for any donations against gifts. They can just be left without any charge. It's only 2 of the candles that can be selected that we actually ask for donations against. We have to be a little bit careful with virtual products because we can't really collect gift aid against them, because even though they're virtual, they're still an item. So we have got permission, we've been allowed to sort of add a kind of optional gift option against some of the candles, but yeah, that's why they're not available against gifts. Yes, Rachel, you can add funeral information to a tribute page. You can add it to any, but the difference is the funeral collection widget actually asks for the funeral information during the create process so that it's already added on. So the supporter doesn't have to go into the back end and then add it on subsequently. So we've got a couple of questions. I don't think anyone can see the questions in the Q&A section, but Vicky's asked if we can include a drop-down list of an events so that the next of kin of families can select from the charity standard annual event. So unfortunately, we don't offer that option, but on the flip side, it means that, you know, people can add in whatever events they like, and it gives them a great deal of freedom to add in what events that they choose. And actually, if they've already selected, created their event through Just Giving, then as Jackie said, you can just cut and paste that across onto the tribute. Vicky's also said that she's not seen the timeline or the journal options before. And yes, they are available to every person who sets up a tribute page. It doesn't matter what type of charity partner you are. That's the functionality on the end tribute page. It's just if a supporter doesn't use all the functionality, then it just doesn't show on their tribute page. And the idea behind that is so that the tribute pages don't look sort of empty. So we don't click on a journal section, it doesn't have anything in it. It only displays when content has been added. And that's simply so that if somebody chooses to only have 1 or 2 images on their tribute, then it still looks lovely, and they don't, people don't click on lots of empty spaces. So hopefully that's answered everyone's questions for now, but obviously if you've got any more, then do pop them up. And thank you, Jackie. I just also wanted to say that the tribute that Jackie has demonstrated, we're demonstrating it as though we are logged in as a user. So if you wanted to be able to get the same view, if you're an Optimum partner, then you can do. You just need to click on the settings button next to your tributes in your partner area and scroll down to the bottom and click access all tribute settings, and it will bring up the page and it will look exactly like this. So you'll have the settings options along the bottom footer and then also on the left-hand side of the tribute page. So just give me a second while I flip back to my presentation. This is intended to be a fairly short session, so I haven't got much more to share with you, but just wanted to sort of highlight maybe how you can sort of use and benefit from some of the functionality available on the tributes. So I know people do tend to shy away a little bit from promoting their tributes via social media. But please don't, it's not offensive to anybody, and just maybe highlighting some of the functionality on a tribute is a really nice way to do that, particularly highlighting some of the gifts available on the tribute, or maybe promoting specific features like the ability to be able to journal, particularly at the moment as our mental health is becoming so important, or it's always been important, obviously, but it's becoming more talked about, and journaling is a very big part of actually having good sort of mental health. So, why not promote that feature on the tribute pages? All of the tribute pages have that journal feature, and it can be private. So the rest of the tribute can be completely public, but the general section can be totally private to the individual who set the tribute page up. I think also the breadth of the functionality can be really used when you want to promote the tribute pages internally. So it would give you sort of more buy-in with your colleagues if they understood that the tribute pages weren't entirely fundraising focused. And that's certainly true of hospice staff and maybe staff that where charities that are more sort of healthcare based, but maybe also in other charities. I think because the fundraising team has set up the tribute pages, there may just be this presumption that they're very fundraising focused. And whilst the pages do that really well, they have also all this other great functionality, which Jackie has talked you through today. So please do use that as an opportunity to spread the knowledge within your organisation, and maybe setting up a lunchtime Zoom session to talk them through the functionality. Is a great time to get it out there until we're able to kind of be back with people in person. God, I can't wait for that. And also maybe using it to focus on case studies and promote your tribute pages a little bit wider. And the fact that they provide such great bereavement care should be highlighted, I think, particularly in a case study. And that can be used in newsletters as well, and then any other media that you use to promote your tribute pages. And we've already talked about leaflets this morning. So highlighting some of the features and the flexibility of the pages in a leaflet would be a great thing. And I will absolutely book in. I think we have already got it planned out, but I'll just double check when we finish this that it's in our plans to get that set up for you guys so that you can then use our template to promote further. And then the other sort of area is actually using some of the functionality in terms of stewardship. So going back to sort of welcome packs or letters, depending on what your budget is or depending on how you feel that works best for your supporters, you may send them some kind of welcome letter or pack, and including some sort of leaflet or just a PDF that highlights some of the features of the tribute in that is a really worthwhile thing to do, because as you've probably discovered, there's bits and pieces on the tributes that maybe, well, hopefully we've highlighted to you this morning, and so your supporters won't know about all those features necessarily either. So it's a really good opportunity to sort of get engagement from them. And then my kind of final idea really is actually sending out emails to steward your fund holders. So setting up a selection of regular emails that go out to everybody who's created a tribute page through your service. And Jackie is the absolute queen of doing this, because she set up some fantastic emails at Stroke to keep that sort of stewardship engagement with her fund holders. And sometimes those emails highlighted just different bits of functionality on the tribute and would always include a link to the actual tribute page, simply just to encourage engagement and usage of the tribute so that they didn't kind of go stagnant. So people remembered that they were there and just thought, oh yeah, that's a good idea. I'll go on and light a candle or leave a message. And sometimes obviously you will want to ask for donations, but using the breadth of the functionality just allows you to sort of create sort of a different level of emails that aren't always asking about money. And then finally, using that seasonal engagement as well. So you can use the gifts and candles in that way. And as we've mentioned, if you're an Optimum partner, you can have your own bespoke folder of gifts on a tribute, and you can have whatever imagery you like on there. RNLI have got a really lovely selection of images, lighthouses, beach scenes, bucket and spade, that kind of thing. So images that really relate back to their cause. And other charities have uploaded images that within their gifts that relate back to maybe one of their campaign months or something like that. So really do, hopefully that's given you a really good idea of how to use the functionality on the tribute page. And I noticed while I was chatting, there's a few other comments. So let's have a quick look at the chats that have come through. Sorry, it all goes a bit quiet while I'm trying to read them.
I think Claire wants to know if the supporter can request setting it when that the donations were directed to a specific area, yes, they can. There'll be a special instruction that when the charity receives the donations, they'll be asked to allocate the money to what the supporters ask for. It's quite common that that happens in hospitals, where they might want it to go to the breast care people, say, who were looking after them. That's where it's mostly common.
Excellent. And thank you, Ruth, for offering to, well, I don't think you can see the response, Charlotte, but Ruth has offered to share the Alzheimer's Society page leaflet with you. So hopefully that will be useful to you. Excellent. So the last thing that I just wanted to sort of remind everybody this morning was just there is a charity support site available to you, and you can access it through your partner area just by clicking on the Manage tab and then Training and Support, and it will open up our charity support site. And on that, there is absolutely loads of information. So lots of training videos, so you can get really bored of watching me. And Catherine also helped me out with some of the videos. But there's loads of information about our dedication pages on there. And if you're an Optimum partner, there's some information on Grief Chat, which you can benefit from as well. So please do, you know, make yourself familiar with that service. There's a little search option at the top as well, which is quite useful, and a selection of sort of frequently answered questions, which might be helpful to you as well. And there's loads of information about promotion and support and all of that kind of thing as well. So let's just, so Liz, I think there's a few people, Ruth, that would like to see your leaflet. So if you send it to me, I'll send it out to everyone that's asked for it. Great, okay. And then if anyone else is prepared to share their leaflet, then please do let us know. I think I've probably got a few spare ones that I've got from other charities, so hopefully I can share that. Okie dokie, so lots of leaflet requests, so I can see that's something that we ought to look at.
I think I've got a couple of examples from charities as well, so I'll pass them to Sally as well.
Okay, lovely. So we can create some examples. So thank you very much, everybody. As ever, if you've got any ideas about what sort of particular area of the service that you might like to see in the future, then please do email myself. I'll send out a recording of this in case you want to share it with your colleagues within the organisation. And so just feel free to respond to that as well. So Rex, you've said you have a question. Please pop it in the box, and then we can answer that for you. Are there any other questions coming through, Jackie?
We have one from Rex about who owns the copyright. Do you mean the copyright to all the information that's on the tribute?
I don't know. Well, let's assume. Well, so he said again, who owns the copyright? So if we're talking about the copyright on the tribute, then it's the fund holder. If we're talking about the leaflets, then presumably whoever's created the leaflet. Rex, if you want to, just you'll feel free to give myself or Jackie a call, and we can answer your question directly if we haven't covered it here. But yes, anyone else who wants a copy of any leaflets, then just pop your email in, and we'll gather some examples and send them out to you. Lovely, great. And Sue Ryder are happy to share their one as well, so that's great. Thank you very much. Mm-hmm. Lovely, great. Well, thank you very much for joining us this morning. So that's pretty much the end of our session today. I'm just going to stop the recording, actually.